The world has gotten smaller,
Yeah.
and we need to mutually encourage and support each other. And this cross country collaboration is important, draw inspiration from each other.
I completely agree with you, Chef. This time I was in Taiwan. Quantum of development in terms of the technology has been far, far ahead. And I feel there's a huge vacuum about the knowledge available in this part and what is actually available to the rest of the world. So, Light, just I was just explaining about, not only the packaging makes a difference in terms of sustainability, but also the way our crops are grown. That could mean right from the cereal grains to the rice to, so many other things, including the vegetables and maybe the cattle and farm, which is also making a severe impact in today's environment. I think being mindful of them and making the choices of the lesser impact, I think, has become the order of the day.
Yes.
Or many people are going in for very ethically and very safely sourced material, besides the fact that they need to be organic. Also, in terms of the impact it has for the environment, is also being considered. So I think that also forms a very, very important aspect of us considering sustainability as
Yes,
a as a
indeed.
as a as a
Indeed.
as a as a whole package.
Yes.
So, with that, Chef, I also would like to ask, what is your thought in terms of the relationship between the food industry and the community building aspect of the food industry? Because I think one is for the other and other is for the other. So what is your thought in terms of
What is that word? Symbiotic
symbiotic
relationship.
relationship
We depend on each other
each other?
and grow or deplete, together. So we need to have a very positive mindset. We, at the end, no man is an island.
Absolutely.
No one. We grow together. Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Touching another very important aspect, Chef, what do you think should be the way that the industry actually supports bakery workers? Because I'm sure there are certain gaps here and there that can be done or managed better. So, is there your thoughts in there in terms of how the industry can support people coming into the bakery industry, or for that matter, the food industry, for that matter? Do you have any thoughts in that?
Training
Training.
is important. First, we have different groups of people going into this industry. Some already have some knowledge, zero knowledge. Perhaps it's a choice or they had no choice. So we need to look into training programs that can better equip them when they enter the industry and contribute better to the community at the end. So I think education is something that every country have to look into. Every trade is educating, improving, and the world is moving so fast with AI technology and everything else. How are we going to ensure that every human who steps into this industry is given the help to not only survive but thrive in the business?
Absolutely.
That's, I think, important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Going a little bit off tangent, Chef, what would be one of your most favorite dessert to eat ever? If you're going to choose just one, what would be?
Well, I think for me in Singapore, would be our Nonya Kuehs.
Nonya Kuehs. Okay.
Yeah, Nonya Kuehs.
Okay.
I think that brings back memory. I'm not a Nonya, but
Okay.
my grandmother was an orphan raised in a Peranakan family.
Okay.
And it brings back happy memories of the kuehs that my grandmother used to do, steaming, using natural colors from the blue pea flowers to color the food, versus it reminds you of home, something very close.
Very close.
And so when I became a baker, I did make a few products where I remember the practices and the taste of the, like the kueh salad, so we had mooncake kueh salad, we had some of the fillings, the hebi yam on the glutinous rice infused into our breads and all that. I think at the end, life is a collection of memories.
Absolutely.
So these memories affect our happiness at the end. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I have to really thank you and your family for giving me this opportunity to have this happy memories in India.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that,
Thank
Chef.
you.
And it so happens that kueh also is actually a favorite of mine, my personally. And I had the opportunity to taste a lot of Nonya cuisine, specifically
Yes.
the desserts that is actually available.
Yes.
Very delectable, very tasty, very should I say soul soothing,
Yes.
as a matter of fact, with the
Yeah.
rich flavors of things like pandan and
Coconut.
coconut
Yeah.
and gola malaka, and it is really astounding and very very subtle, at the same time very warm fuzzy
Yes.
feeling we get when we gonna
Yes.
think about that kind of a particular cuisine. And my next question would be to you, as a baker, what would be one of the most essential ingredient you consider yourself for baking?
Sorry.
Most essential ingredient, one ingredient you think, of course, besides salt and flour and everything else, could be a spice or could be something that is your favorite in terms
Most
of baking.
important ingredient
Yes,
for me, the yeast.
these, of course,
It's
Of
the
course.
soul of the bread.
of course. And I understand that now you are. I mean, of course, it has been always the case in the Western world. Now we are all gravitating towards sourdough and and that kind of a bread, which is supposedly much more healthier than the given regular form of bread, because it is done with the starter, which is actually the sourdough itself is a natural fermentation process, and I think it greatly modifies the structure of the flour itself, which consumed in regular intervals can have a harmful effect in the human body. Whereas sourdough, it's much more easier on the gut, is what I understand.
Digesting
And
everything.
and in
yes.
terms of also it being better in terms of the glycemic index, in terms of it's releasing the energy
Yes.
at a lapsed level as compared to releasing them instantaneously, I think that is much better of a choice. So what is your take on sourdough bread and things similar to that in that particular instance?
Well, sourdough would be our wild yeast that we put into our breads to grow. I think it is a very interesting process because you see how the yeast converts, the ingredients into food and all that. But at the end, we see the bread growing and the yeast growing, and there are many lessons to be learned from making the bread.
Yeah.
Patience, not. I always say a good bread you cannot hurry it. You have to wait patiently. Whether it's sourdough bread or using dehydrated or fresh yeast, it is a lesson that we can learn for our lives. But and just to say, when we define what is really sourdough, we all think that all sourdough breads are healthy, but there is also so-called unhealthy breads, high in sugar, high in fat, where you can still use your starter to bake. So that's something that I discuss with our students. That how do you analyze a particular recipe? Just because it is sourdough, is it really that healthy? What are the ingredients that you have to notice? And even if there's sugar, how do you define it? When do we say that it is a healthier alternative? I think that is, we have to eat with discernment as well.
Absolutely.
And
And
not
I
just
think
because it's sourdough.
absolutely portion control, and
Yes.
the right word was, what is the word they say? Moderation.
Yes,
Moderation is the key
moderation.
to being healthy, irrespective of what it is. In fact, there's one technical question that I did ask some of the bakery chefs and bakery professionals in Taiwan on my recent visit over there. So I said that when people are trying to choose a profession, of course the pursuit is going to be commercial. So when you talk about commercial, right, cakes and pastries are deemed to be much more higher in value, higher in
Yes.
profitability. So therefore, a lot of people who want to learn bakery and pastry prefer to choose pastry over bakery. Right? And bakery, no matter how much whatever fancy bread you do, there's only a certain price point in which you do, and you have to bake really large quantum and sell large quantum for that to make business sense for you. So it takes a different mindset for you to choose bakery or over pastry, right? So I was just asking about this to a very well established baker in Taiwan, and he runs a large industry scale production unit and manufacturing unit, and he just smiled at me and he said, cake you cannot have every day, bread you can have every day.
Yes.
That was the one of
Bread
the
of life.
yes, bread of life.
Yes.
So I think that puts a lot of things in perspective. Now one last question I would like to ask before we come to when the tables are turned round. So if not for a chef, what would you be?
Teacher.
Teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Absolutely.
Still.
Absolutely. So I think that's a very interesting pairing, that being a chef and a teacher, because in our pursuit of finding good quality instructors for our academy, we're finding it very difficult. We find people are extremely skilled in making the product, but when it comes to teaching, they are completely introverts. Sometimes we find people who can teach very well, but when it comes to doing the product, that's a bit of a challenge. So finding the right balance, I think, and finding people of good skill in both these things together is becoming increasingly difficult. Now, I think we come to the last part of our interview. Now, this is the opportunity where you get to ask me any question which I'm unprepared for, right? So you can fire away a couple of questions, whatever you want to know or want to ask. This is basically an exercise that we keep doing to keep ourselves sharp, and always a way of checking whether we are on the right path towards where we are heading towards to. So for different people, different perceptions vary in terms of what they do or how they do. So please, Chef, do fire away any question that you have in mind.
Well, in my short time with you, I think you think very deeply,
Okay.
and you have this vision and mission in your life, and it's the same question I will ask you. If you had not started Food Consulate and run it so well, what other jobs would have, would you have gone into? Same.
Yeah, I mean, this pursuit came since I finished my university, and since 99 I've been only exposed to the food business. So if not for this, I wouldn't say I have a regret, because I would say that probably if I had the wisdom now, I probably would have become a chef. Even though I'm not, say, professionally qualified to be a chef, I've been working with chefs for the past 26, 27 years of my life, and that is something that I always aspired to be. So if not for this, probably I would have become a chef.
Because I find that you have the intelligence and sharpness of mind and
Okay.
observation and your taste smarts, and you have you could have been anything, any jobs
you.
that you would want to, but it's
you.
interesting. I had a feeling that you would say to be
Okay.
a chef. So now, yes, indeed.
Thank you so much for that, Chef. We really enjoyed having a very dense and very meaningful conversation in this particular podcast of ours. Thank you so much for being our guest, and we really look forward in learning more from you and associating and collaborating with you in the near future. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you for the privilege and the blessing too.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chef. So that brings
Yeah.
us to a very exciting and very detailed podcast with Chef Judy. Thank you so much for your time, and hope to see you again soon. Cheers.